Yes, it's clear that the universe is a strange thing. Often at times it is cruel, seemingly without purpose or reason. But every once in a while, it gives us incredible gifts, strokes of coincidence. Is it the work of some immensely powerful beings that no one simply knows? Perhaps fate itself has a sense of humor. Most will simply never know. But our event here tonight is just another one of those cases. An instance of the collision of two stories, that of a child and a mother. This demure-looking brunette woman, cradling the child in her arms, goes by the name of Melody, and she has a story all her own. A very short time ago, Melody lived in a nearby village, a peaceful, out-of-the-way place, far from the hustle and movement of large cities. This quaint small village had been her home since she was a child, and unbeknownst to most, her family had for some time been practitioners of magic, and her mother, like her mother before her, passed down the knowledge that she had of magic to her daughter Melody. It was not an impressive collection of magic, only a few simple spells. This is all that they could really acquire. But, like in most places, their magic had to be kept a secret. People were not known for their accepting personalities. If people found out, there was always the possibility that it would be the end of them, which is why the magic was passed only to daughters and sons, and they were never to tell their partners, at least not in her family. No, usually they would simply abscond with the child, leaving and taking the child with them, so that they could be raised and taught magic without the concern of the other parent finding out. It would simply be a separation, as was sometimes common. Nothing magical about it. However, Melody did not heed the warnings of her mother. As she grew up, she eventually fell in love with a young farmer. They married, and it wasn't long before she was with child of her own. Believing that she could simply leave magic behind, she didn't need it. As long as she led a happy life, it didn't matter. And when she was due to have a child of her own, she was filled with joy and hope for the future. A life led with a beloved husband who loved and cherished her. A child she could raise. A family living all together joyously. However, the fates did not smile on Melody. Once again, the universe can be quite cruel, and unfortunately for Melody, the child that she gave birth to did not survive, and Melody was stricken with a great sadness, mourning the loss of her child. And no matter how others tried to comfort her, it all seemed to amount to naught, nothing appeasing her loneliness and despair. One day, whilst sitting in one of the rooms of her house, quietly all by herself, simply staring out of the window, there on the table, there was a vase with a flower in it. Her husband had found a beautiful rose bush and plucked from it a flower, hoping that it would make her feel better, placing it in a vase and setting it upon the table. But that was some time ago, and now the flower had withered away and lost all its life. Who knows what compelled her in that moment, sitting all alone in that room? Maybe The sight of something without life simply reminded her of the life that was lost a very short time ago, only a day or two. But in that moment, without really thinking about it, Melody reached out, seeing the withered flower in the vase, scrawling her finger across the air as if she were writing with a pen. There was a glow of green light as she cast a spell, bringing life back to that sad little rose in its vase, all alone. It was a simple thing, nothing complex. However, as I said, the fates did not smile upon Melody, because while she believed she was alone, she was not aware that her husband had actually been watching her from around the corner, only for a few seconds, wondering if she was doing all right. But after seeing her use magic, everything changed. Her husband crept away, trying not to be noticed, and succeeding, as Melody had lost most concern for other things in her sadness and grief. But it wasn't long before a racket arose that even Melody could not ignore. The screaming of countless townspeople, the burning of torches in the distance, a swarm of armed villagers baying for blood, screaming out, "She's a witch." Melody left the comfort of her home, stepping outside in attempts to calm the people, assure them that she was not a witch. But what she found shattered her heart. There, standing amongst the crowd, weapon and torch of his very own, was her beloved husband, baying for her blood. It was him who told the town people. According to him, she was a witch who had sacrificed the life of her own child in exchange for power and magic. Several people of the town attempted to attack Melody, to bring her to be executed for the crimes of being a witch and killing a child. For a moment, Melody considered simply letting them do so. Consumed with the grief and loss of her child, she thought perhaps joining it in the life after might simply be best. But whether it be instinct for survival, a will to live, anger towards her husband, who really knows? Not even Melody herself can say for sure. But instead of allowing them to take her, Melody fought back, attacking the villagers, including her husband, taking his life and the life of several others with her small assortment of spells, sending them fleeing away, running in terror from the dangerous witch. But there was no question that they would be back with others. Whenever a magic caster was discovered, they would always dispatch paladins and knights, merciless killers in great numbers to do away with anyone caught wielding magic. And so Melody was left with no choice but to run as far and as fast as she could, fleeing from the town that she had lived in her whole life, escaping into the woods, a stream of forest that stretched on for hundreds of miles, running far away from her home and all of the sadness and loss that she experienced there, hoping for survival. For a very long time she ran. It seemed like almost a full day passed of just running, spending every moment she could running and resting only for short times, all the way into the late night when all the stars had come out and the night air was cold All alone she stood in the woods until she saw a green flash of light in the distance and came upon a very strange situation.